Alright, so this is going to be my interpretation video for Henry Ledman for my what I noticed in his body, move, and work assessments. So I'll start with body. So I do not have an in-body machine, so I used the methods given in the CCP index to figure out what I needed to know. So first, his body weight was 188.9. The rough estimate for the body fat percentage was 16%. His estimate of lean body mass was 158.7 pounds. His basal metabolic rate was 1,712. And then I don't have the muscle fat analysis since I don't have the in-body machine, and my numbers are a little different from that. So I noticed there, this is he's in a pretty good range of body fat percentage. What would be acceptable or athletic. Has a decently high basal metabolic rate, and he's got a pretty good build. He's not very tall. He's like 5'9". So, mostly what I noticed for that is with his goals, things I was thinking of is, he wants to have aesthetics and kind of like bodybuilding, hypertrophy, and he wants to have conditioning and like mixed modal work. Talked a lot about that. Kind of wanted to do a little bit of everything, but some things that I noticed that for him that would help would probably be based off this. If he wants to look better aesthetically, he could be leaner if he wanted to be leaner. I think better sleep and would be a big thing for him. That was one thing that I noticed. He didn't have the best sleep routine or the best sleep quality, so this would definitely help in recovering and trying to be more fit and look better and gain some muscle. And then with nutrition, I would say less processed foods. Looking over his food log, he could definitely, that's where I'd want to start with him. Having him eat more whole foods and less processed foods. So for his OPEX move, he failed the scratch and the air squat, passed the toe touch, failed the lunge, failed the leg raise, straight leg raise test, passed the front plank, did not pass the reverse plank. Then he passed the side plank on both sides. And some of my noticings in this were that I think a lot of the issues he had were all stemming from lack of shoulder mobility. He has his shoulders are bigger and his arms are a little shorter. And I think his interior part of his shoulder it's a bit stiff, it's a bit tight. He didn't have the best mobility in the scratch test. He failed that, and that was easy to see. Couldn't get his arms vertical. There's a little bit of flare in the ribs, a little bit of head movement. So I think the lack of shoulder mobility and mobility in the upper back, because other than that, his squat looked good on the lower half, but it was the upper body that dropped, mostly on the eccentric, going down the squat. He couldn't keep his chest up and his arms behind his toes. And then I think, saw that play out in a few different areas as well. Like the reverse plank. He had a hard time with a little bit, like the shoulder retraction, but I think it was mainly because he's a lot tighter, so getting and retracting your shoulder blades in that reverse plank was a little bit tougher. He mentioned a little bit of elbow pain doing it as well. He didn't say it was very bad, but he said he noticed it. But yeah, lunge test. It was pretty good. Other than I failed him because the balance wasn't there. He had some good reps. Not all of them were bad, but the thing that I did notice was his balance. He didn't balance as well, really, on either side. So it seemed more or less like a lack of balance, not necessarily motor control, because he did have some good reps, and he was able to get some ones that looked acceptable, but it was just the balance is what seemed to be getting him on that. Okay. A lot of other things looked pretty good. I just think that it was the mobility issues seen in the scratch test compromised other movements. So for him, in planning out for that, working on shoulder mobility and getting good shoulder retraction, I think is going to play a big part. He's pretty strong. He has a decent background in fitness. So he's been doing it for a while. So I think that just getting him in better positions and getting him a little bit more mobile on his shoulders is going to help a lot. I think that'll be a big part. And also incorporating more lunges and like single leg variations in lunges and is going to also help as well as some single leg hinge movements as well. Toe touch looked good, but the straight leg raise, he couldn't quite get behind his knees when he was lifting up one leg or the other. So I think working on some single leg hinge movements and some lunges is going to help that, and doing it with the intention of getting some motor control to help get him balanced and be competent in those movements is going to be a big priority as well. And since he wants to gain some muscle, time and attention will be great in all these things, especially if he wants to get stronger and look better, and aesthetically, that's all going to play a big role for him. And then for his OPEX work assessment, he scored 124 calories on the bike in 10 minutes. The weight conversion of that was 224. And this, he did great. He was able to stay in a great pace the whole time. He was on a Rogue Eco bike, so I was watching his cadence on the bike the whole time. He was able to keep a pretty similar cadence the whole time. He didn't like speed up and then slow down. He did really well. He actually even sped up a little more the last 60 seconds and pushed a little bit harder there. So what I noticed in that is he is a pretty good base of fitness. He has some good work capacity. He has some aerobic ability. And all in all, I think I can start him, not necessarily at ground zero, but I think that if he wants to look better and get stronger and be more aerobic, the big things for him will be getting better sleep quality. It'll be working on the shoulder mobility and the single leg variations for lunging and hinging, getting some balance there, some motor control. And then for nutrition, from what I saw in his the OPEX body, it seems that he eats enough. He's been working out consistently before this, but I do think that a combination of better sleep and higher quality foods will yield him better results for what he's looking to do.